Hello and welcome back to Stanley Parable. This is episode number dose or 2. Fuck. Well, that was unfortunate, but that won't hinder us. We will keep on going. Let's enable saves so it will actually remember where we left off. Or I don't know if it does this. Actually, I have no freaking idea how this game works. It's weird. Don't crash on me, please. What is this? Control tab. What's it crashed? Oh, well, it doesn't. I don't even know.
This is the story.
Yeah, that we already heard. So it started over. But I think I remember
All of his
what
co-workers were gone.
What I did last
time. What did it mean? Stanley decided to go to the...
I think this audio is a bit too loud. Let's see. Can I get like
meeting room? Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Missed a memo. Okay. Right. So
Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference.
I want to get in here
Nor
so bad.
did it advance the story in any way.
Alright. He got so mad last time. Or sad. Bro.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
On my left. Okay. I'm trying to look for like different things that differentiates from the last time. Did I just like make an 180 and didn't notice it? Yeah, I did. Just a yellow box again.
Yet there was not a single person here either.
Yeah, right.
Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided...
Here we go. Sorry.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
No, actually not. I did not do that. You're lying. Oh, I hate basements. They're so creepy. It's yellow light in the office. It's giving me the chill.
But Stanley just couldn't do it.
Hey.
He considered the possibility of facing his boss. Admitting he had left his post during work hours, he might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all? None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking?
I questioned this.
Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment and my wife and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine.
I don't think the voice is normal, dude.
I am okay.
Psych!
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black.
Well, it did.
This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments, she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day, the very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
I died. I was crazy. The more you know. Oh well.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
I'm not sure if I could have taken any other turns.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Taken any other turns in the basement. But I don't want to go down there now.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Alright, no. This is where like started an explosion or something. 258.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him? What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. and so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this. Stanley simply began entering random codes into the keypad, knowing full well the sheer statistical unlikelihood that this would ever result in a correct combination. If he knew that the combo was 2845, it would be another story entirely. But no, this is what he was going to do instead.
Hey, let's do the
Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Shouldn't go there, you go down here. Oh, hate this space. Don't blow into the mic. It's uncomfortable. I'm gonna do short episodes now, by the way. 40 minutes was far too long.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
I'm trying to correct my mic.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
I think I don't have a pop filter on it. Oh, it's pretty rubbish. I will try to get a better one.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
This is pretty unsafe.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
That my friends who plays Fallout 4 seems like a really good game. I'll try to play that sometime. I'm supposed to go here. Elevator!
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Yes. Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
That's my number, correct? 427, 427. There we are. It's empty. It would be creepy if I were there. Okay.
No! He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world?
Yes.
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the
I didn't let you finish, bitch.
blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over?
I do believe so.
Yes.
But who knows?
He had won. He had defeated the machine. unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him, for it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing.
I don't even know what I'm talking about.
Stanley stepped through the open door.
Will it go dark now?
Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin.
God, this is like Minecraft.
The feeling of liberation,
modded.
the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen.
That's pretty
And
peaceful.
Stanley was happy.